This is one thing nobody ever told me about business. Now, just to give you a bit of background, I've never had a job. I've always worked for myself, and essentially I had to teach myself to work and I had to teach myself to earn. I didn't know how to structure your day, what I should be focusing on, what to do first, what to do last, what I should spend money on, what I shouldn't. So I've learned the hard way, but I've learned the good way. And what people don't tell you is that business is just an accumulation of systems and processes. So each person that you learn business off have got different systems and processes. Now, there are general rules for business that you will see amongst multiple people, generally the right rules, but the way I used to look at it was, I used to think there was this copy and paste method to everything that I didn't know. But that's not true. There's multiple paths to the same place, and people have multiple paths. Now, a good thing to learn is to identify who has actually been successful in going down the right path and taking as much advice as you can off that one person. Because what you'll find is, when you're studying different characters, everybody's got a different path to go down, so naturally you want to implement different parts of each person's process, but what this can actually do is end up making you get a little bit confused because it might take you into different directions. So, you need to choose the people that you copy from wisely, because these people have got something to teach, but it's been unique to them. It's been their own way that they've found. And that's the same thing that you need to do. You need to find your own way. And look, you can learn something off everybody, and you should, but you have got to be conscious of the type of messaging that you're taking. So, if you're going to have a method for e-commerce, if you're going to have a method for finding products, if you're going to have a method for, increasing knowledge, maybe just keep your message coming from a select amount of people. Now, how do we define people to learn from? Well, despite what Instagram tells you, it's not the flipping Lambos and Gucci caps. Yeah? Understand, if you work at McDonald's, you can hire a Lambo. It's £1,000 for a day. So every single McDonald's worker can hire a Lambo, yeah? So don't get impressed about Lambos. What I look for is, a character being solidified by the people who he is associated with, because when you meet somebody in person, you can tell if someone's a fraud or not. It's an intrinsic value that winners have. So there's no way that a scammer or a liar or a deceiver can meet so many influential people and trick them all into thinking that he is actually influential or he actually knows what he's talking about. So it's by association of where I judge people and judge characters on and choose which ones to follow. So, if they're flexing a little bit too hard and that's all they've got, then it's not really going to be the one. So yeah, pick your characters wisely. You can learn from everybody, and what you'll also find is the main core business principles are the same from 100 years ago, 200 years ago. So, study people from the past. When you read a book like Think and Grow Rich, that's based in the 1940s, 1950s, I believe. And a lot of those principles are still applicable today. Now, that book's not going to tell you about Shopify conversion rate, and it's not going to be sat here talking to you about email marketing like I'm doing, but the core principles for business and how to think and operate are still the same. So, you can still find value in that old school information. But, as far as the new tips and tricks, conversion rate, I keep saying conversion rate, advertising, social media advertising has changed a little bit. However, the principles of advertising have not changed. It's about customers' emotion, getting a customer to a place where they feel like they need your product and it will make their lives better. It's about understanding your customer. All these principles are still the same. However, the process of displaying those principles is different. So, bearing that in mind, I hope that can maybe get you thinking a little bit different on business, and you might not be thinking so hopeless as I was doing at one point. So yeah, it's about creating your own systems and principles. Just break it down to each little thing. Let's say, seeing as though I'm a e-commerce entrepreneur, my systems and processes would be for like advertising. So what are my processes for advertising? So I would create a checklist of, this is what a product needs to have in order for me to consider selling it, whether that's a chance of virality, mass market appeal, enough marketing budget to be able to advertise. I'm going to write a list of principles that product needs. Now, I might watch 10 of the most successful e-commerce entrepreneurs that have personal brands, and I might notice a pattern between 6 of them, and then that would be a good indicator of me to add that into my own systems and principles. But not to just add it blindly and keep it, but when I add it, is that going to make a difference to then my overall system? And by doing that, testing and reiterating if it works, you're then able to create the most optimized list that you found working. So it can be something simple as a document on Canva, or write it down if you need to. Check boxes in steps. This is what I do first, this is what I do second, this is what I do third. And when you start practicing those principles and find some success with them, they're going to come on autopilot. And every now and again you'll have to record it again and sort of restructure it. But that's been the best way I've found for me to put my thoughts onto something actually visual and implement parts of what I'm learning off of the people and putting in there. Because you can often learn stuff and it just goes out the other side of your ear. When you're watching content and trying to learn all the time, you need to actually record the information that you learn and really actually stop and just think about it. So yeah, I hope that helped. You want to watch this next video? So yeah, I hope that helped. I hope you got some value in that. I know it was a bit of a rant, but you know what? That's a very big realization of mine, and I'm happy to share it with you where I can. So yeah, have a think.